Every edge you need as an athlete, at least to get started, at least to get going. We can add more edges as we go, but every edge you need, I'm going to put in this video that you can tangibly apply immediately to your life. It's a compilation of everything that I've most recently discussed with my clients after a ton of program design, planning, modifying what they were struggling with, the conversations we've had. I have put together a straightforward list of 7 to 8 things that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can apply them, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you apply them, they will dramatically increase whatever you are capable of. I don't like to make promises because I don't know who's watching this video, but I can assure you whatever your potential is, your best chance of meeting that is going to be based off of your ability to execute what I'm about to tell you, okay? So without further ado, we're going to get into this really quickly. As with all my videos, I like to be time efficient for me and you. So first things first, what I want you to start thinking about is rewarding yourself. I want you to reward yourself. And I don't mean by going out and doing something pleasurable. I want hitting the goal to be the pleasurable thing that you seek. Meaning, if you're already putting in the work for the hard stuff, why would you not finish the job to then go do whatever is left to be necessary in order for you to hit your goal? Meaning, as an example, you lift really heavy. Let's just say 4 or 5 times a week. You're in the weight room, you're training, maybe inclusion of plyometrics, sprinting, and everything else. You're working out 5 to 6 times a week. We're off season, right? Why would you ever do that? Push yourself in the gym, push yourself at the track or in the bleachers, the stadiums, whatever you're doing your workout at. Why would you push yourself there and then eat McDonald's afterwards, or skip a meal, or not have your nutrition set up of what you know you're supposed to do? Why would you stay up all night playing video games if you're pushing your body in these areas, but you're not doing all the other things, which is not that much, but it's the more boring things that actually complete the job? Because when you work out, it's very important, it's a necessary step, but it's actually more of a step back. You're tearing muscle tissue. You're not moving the body forward. You actually grow from rest, recovery, sleep, nutrition. So if you're not doing the total job, you're not getting the benefits. Most people are honestly not even recovering from the work they're doing, much less progressing from what they could be doing. So think about, you're already in pain, reward yourself. Think about that. Like after you get done working out, after you get out of practice, or in any other endeavor of this, when you get done doing the hard thing, go reward yourself by completing the job, knowing that at the end of the day, when you check that box, you're that much closer to where you say you want to be, okay? Which leads me to point number 2. Before you think that I'm about to make a video of all these things that you need to add to your life, this game of getting to be the best version of yourself is likely going to be a game, at least in the beginning, a game of subtraction. Meaning you're going to have to self-audit what you're doing with your time from sun up to sundown, from the moment your feet hit the floor. What are you doing with your time that is actually moving you forward towards your goals? And you can tell by how much you want something, by how much you're willing to give up to get it. I'm not going to give you an example in this video of what you specifically need to stop doing, because you can kind of identify that in your self-audit after. I want you to be descriptive with what you say you want. And this is what I do with athletes. What do you specifically want? Okay. What do we need to do to get there? And we write that down. Now we're looking at that and you see how that's going to fit into your life on a daily basis. How are you going to do that and still keep doing everything else around that that you would like to do? And there isn't, the reason why I'm not giving you an example of what you need to quit is because there's not necessarily anything you necessarily need to quit. I'm not telling you to never watch TV, to never play a video game, to not have friends, to not have a social life. I'm not necessarily telling you to do that. But what I am saying is that when you say this is what you want, and you truly want it, when you make the plan of what you got to do to get there, you will then, that plan will tell you what you can and cannot do. I don't have to do that for you. Your plan will tell you if you can fit this in. If you can fit that in, if you can do everything you're supposed to do to move you forward towards your goals and still do something else you enjoy doing, by all means, I highly encourage that. But if it comes down to one or the other, if you really say you want that goal, then you have to do what's attached to that goal. So you can tell, again, I'll say it again, you can tell how much you want something based off how much you're willing to give. That's your measuring stick. How much are you willing to give up in order to get it? And maybe you'll just come to find out you don't want it that bad, and that's okay. It's just be honest with yourself and just admit that when that time comes. Or you do say, you know what, this is the most important thing right now. This is what I want more than anything else. And that's a beautiful day, and that's the day when decision making becomes way easier. All right? So this leads me into number 2, or actually, what was that? Number 3. Number 3. We're doing well here. Number 3 is understanding the priority of your, and this is really tactical with what I do with athletes, your breakfast, your meal 1 before you leave the house, your dinner or whenever you get home, and your post-workout. Those are nutrition moments throughout the day, every day, that are non-negotiable with me. When I'm making you a meal plan, this now needs to be, what I transfer over to you is for you to look at this as a non-negotiable. You must prioritize this meal. I can't, and you probably to a lot of degree, can't control what you eat when you're at school Monday through Friday for lunch. I know based off when I was in high school, like I didn't have access to, I didn't have access to me. So I didn't have somebody who could tell me what I should probably eat or modify. Nobody did in that day and age. Number 2 is we didn't have access to a microwave. So if I brought my lunch anyways, there was no way to heat it up and have like a healthier version than what the school was serving. I get that you are limited, okay? And there might be other moments of the day or throughout the week that you're limited. Nobody's judging you or coming down on you for that. But what you can be judged on and what you can judge yourself on is what you eat before you leave the door. Like, you are 100% responsible if you don't eat breakfast. You're 100% responsible if you don't eat the right thing for breakfast. If you don't nourish your body before you leave the house, that's 100% on you. You can control that. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't require meal prep, a lot of cooking. There are a plethora of options with this. You just have to do it. So breakfast, meal 1, non-negotiable. When you get home, at some point, whenever that is, if that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if that's 5, 7, 9, 10, I don't care. When you get home, you can control that meal. So the bookends of your day, you can control. Why would you not control the controllables? If you really wanted, of course you will. So meal number 1 and most likely dinner whenever you get home, you can control what you eat there. You don't have to wait on mommy, daddy, your caretaker, grandma, grandpa, whoever it is. You don't have to wait on them to be you reliant of them and what they're cooking. Just eat what you're supposed to eat, okay? And I'll make another video on that another time, but like this is your moment to step up and take control of your life, and you can do that by controlling what you eat for breakfast and what you have for dinner. Sometimes the family joins in, sometimes they can keep up with your pace. A lot of times you'll pass by them. Welcome to life as being exceptional. You get used to it, all right? So meal 1, meal 2, and then post-workout. That can be a little bit more convenient and on the go. I'm not going to go deep into that, but you can have a proper third-party tested, which is critical for drug testing purposes, a third-party tested whey protein supplement, creatine, monohydrate. Obviously, I would not write this as a prescription because I don't know you and your medical history, but oftentimes that plus some fruit and several other things I could show you, that is really ideal post-workout, post-practice, just for immediate recovery and getting the body back into that motion. However, that blended in with the other 2 meals is what I'm saying you can control, and it's non-negotiable if you do it or not. That we don't give you any leniency on. Lunch, midday, when you're out and about, especially if you do or do not drive, I get that. But everything else you can control, and you need to start thinking then so. I promise you that will give you the edge, because most athletes, even the ones that watch this video, but most athletes do not think that way. And they have this mindset, not just with nutrition, but with everything, sleep, you name it, of I'm young, I'm already naturally growing, I'm already naturally, if I even look at a dumbbell, I get stronger, and that's a great thing, kudos to you. But that's an age thing, and you do have that in your favor, yes. But are you going to go through this athletic career, however long that lasts, are you going to go through it with the mindset of, I can get away with it? What's the least I can do to still get what I want? Or are you going to be the athlete who thinks, I'm already doing well, what more can I do to get ahead? What more can I do to optimally get the best outcome? That's the every edge mentality. That's the every edge athlete that you will either be or you will face at some point in your career. High school, college, you will come against them. If it's not you, I pray that it's you. But if it's not you, you will face them one day, and you will remember this video. because there will be athletes that truly, they're the minority for sure, but there are athletes that want every edge. They want to do, their mind just sees, what can I do to get ahead? Oh, okay, my friends are eating this after our workout. I'm eating this. Oh, my friends are staying up till 1:30 in the morning streaming Twitch. I'm going to bed at 10:30, 11. I'm getting my 8-9 hours of sleep. I'm waking up and I'm eating a breakfast that's actually catered towards my needs and growth. I am going to have snacks throughout the day that are structured a part of my program. They're looking at every edge of how to take the step forward. I want that for you. I want that for everybody. I understand saying this that it probably will go through one ear and out the other. It might sound good. Then you find out it does take a little bit more work. That's going to be your journey's choice. But I can promise you, you will either be that athlete or you will face that athlete. I wish you luck if you're on the other side. Number 4. This is something that I'm doing currently with an athlete. And I've mentioned this in previous videos, but it's not about habits, it's about standards. Your standards, when you have your minimum base standards, your habits take care of themselves. So we base standards off of what you say you want. And that is the physical, tangible things that we can measure, such as performance on and off the field, the court, the weight room, but it's also intangible things that more are about your character and who you want to be, which ultimately will define what you become as an athlete. And within that, I'm going to use this athlete as an example with what we're doing because he wants to be a more leader, but he's not a vocal person in nature. And honestly, most people in high school aren't. You don't really have your identity at that age. You may have a glimpse of who you think you are, and that's great, but most people haven't found their voice. I know I didn't in high school. And that's perfectly fine. What you have to understand, though, is if you want to be a leader, this is it. Usually the best leaders are not the most vocal because they're forced to lead by example. And that's what is going to be his opportunity. So what we've done is we've created minimum daily standards and minimum standards, the foundation of who he wants to be if he wants to be the best leader he's capable of. He's a junior about to be a senior. So it's a really critical time, right, to be naturally the leader of your team when you're the best player. If that is who he wants to be, we have laid out measurable standards in which he can identify if he's hitting them every week. So instead of just saying, go lead by example and I wish you the best, no, we have minimal daily and weekly standards for him to hit that he can check the box if he's actually doing everything within his power and what he's naturally good at and comfortable with to move the needle forward for himself and everyone around him. The beauty of, if you're watching this, is you have these platforms, you have social media. If you use it properly, you can showcase, and I'm just using this as one example of many things that he's doing. You can use that as an opportunity to show what you're doing every day, the meals that you eat, the workouts you do. When your friend or a teammate sees that you're at the gym putting in extra reps, whether that's football, baseball, basketball, the weight room, you're putting in extra time, and they're at home playing Mario Kart. Might have just aged myself showing you that example. When they're at home playing video games or whatever it is that they're doing, that might not strike one time, but when they see that repetitively every day or at least frequently enough, that's going to start to settle in on their mindset too. And that's going to make change in them too. Not overnight, but ultimately. And that's just one of many ways is you can properly use these modern day platforms to showcase who you are. And not only are you showing your teammates, but you're showing your coaches, your coaching staff, and you're showing recruiters, you're showing people at the next level of life that you may want to get to, that I recommend you do market yourself in a correct manner. You're showcasing your future resume for the places you want to go. And if you use your social media as a tool for the better, and this is just one measuring tool that we're using with him, then that is an opportunity for him to lead by example. He doesn't even have to open his mouth. He could just showcase and document the proper things that he does, and he will make change to anyone around him that's capable of changing. And that is one of the many things that we're doing, like I said. But set your core standards of what you say, identify who you want to be and what you want to be, and then build core standards of what that would look like with measurable standards of what you're doing to get there. Okay? The next is doing the what and the why and understanding both. And what I mean by this is with your training program, and I'm going to get specific because I'm in the strength and conditioning side of this, in your weight training portion of this, you need to not just know what to do. You absolutely need to know what you're doing, yes, and you absolutely need to have a plan in order to get there. Sure, I'm big on that. Program design, having a plan, yes. But in addition to that, that's 50%. The other 50% is in terms of actually executing it the proper way, is understanding why you're doing it. When you know why you're being asked or told to do X, Y, and Z, and you see the why being attached to the outcome that you say you want and that you believe you want, it's much easier to not only do it, but to do it well. When you know that if you do this, it will give you this, and you truly believe in that, you will run to that. You won't look at it as a chore, as something you have to do. Okay? So the what is important. You need a program and you need a plan, but you must have a why. I remember going into my senior year basketball season in high school. It was probably like late summer, and we started doing our strength conditioning, which was very different back in the day. And one of our coaches showed us this movement and this exercise. It was split jumps with holding dumbbells, like weighted split jumps. And he accredited that to a lot of athletes significantly improving their vertical jump back in the day that he had coached on previous teams. And I'm diluting this conversation just to give you a quick summary, but I just, to this day, like many years later, I remember the words that he said to that, the weight that carried with me, because I had a great vertical. That was something that I valued and was important to me, and I took that like gold. And I remember I would push myself hard in everything, but that one exercise, I would push myself just a little bit harder than everything else because I knew the why behind at least the perceived why, as to why I still like the exercise. I don't think it carried as much weight as he gave it, but at the time it gave me all the weight that I needed to do to push myself to the max. I would go a little bit heavier, I'd get an extra rep or two. I poured myself into that. I could barely walk after I get done doing that exercise for the rest of the day, not just for 30 seconds. Like that would finish me. I would put so much into that because I wanted to improve in that area. I love jumping. I went on to be a collegiate long jumper and triple jumper and held the school record to the day that I graduated. So I had great jumping ability, and I always prioritized that, and that mattered to me. So anytime someone told me that anything would improve my jumping, my leaping ability, or made me more athletic and twitchy, there was nothing I wouldn't do to that. I never looked at it as a chore. I couldn't wait to do it because I really wanted that. And I, as an every edge type of person, wanted every edge, and I knew that would give me, if 3 months of suffering added 1 inch to my vertical, I would suffer for 3 months doing that exercise. It meant that much. So I wouldn't have mattered though, and I probably would have never even touched it or cared about it. I touched it, but I wouldn't have cared about it if I didn't have the why behind it. And anything that you struggle to do, you just need to understand, do I just not believe in this? Because procrastination usually comes from disbelief. It means I don't really think, I think it could work, but I don't know for sure if this is going to give me what I want. And maybe you're right about that. Maybe you need to do further research, but maybe you're wrong. And maybe you just need to get some more evidence, see it to be done. And once you see that why, and you attach that, like, this is why you should do this, if it's really something you want, I promise you will do it. And then I'm going to we got two more. I don't know what number we're on right now, but we're going to move into the next one. Weak point training. This is something that has different ways you can analyze this. This could be a certain exercise. This could be a certain body part. This could be just a certain skill set. Maybe you're just slow. Maybe you have bad core stability. Maybe you're just weak in your core. Maybe you have a movement that you would like to improve on. There's a lot of different forms of how we could analyze weak point training. But at all times throughout your career, you'll have something that's a little lacking in compared to the rest of your performance in both weight training, on the team, like within the sport, individual or team sport, within season, within the weight room, within any form of sport performance. there's probably always an area that may not be bad. Some people it's obviously bad, and some people it's just lagging. Whatever that is, within your training program, you need to have something set aside. We call them feeder workouts that you do that is more about frequency. It's not a lot of volume within one given day or one given workout, but frequently you're giving extra attention to that area. I'm not going to give a workout or an exercise right now because honestly, it could be a lot of different things. It could be your bench press, your squat. It could be your hang clean. It could be that you're just directionally slow. You could be, I mean, you can't run a 40-yard dash to save your life under 6 seconds. I mean, that'd be terrible, but maybe. Maybe you're a poor jumper. Maybe you have a second bounce that's a little slow. Whatever it is, we need to identify that and make sure that that is getting a little extra attention, if not a lot of extra attention, within your program. So we want to train everything, and we want to maintain what you do well at and continue to progress that. But you want to have something, a feeder set of workouts and exercises that are added to the program to put extra focus on whatever your weak point at that moment is. And then when we've brought that lagging area up, we will identify whatever is lagging next. And then we're going to chop away at that. And we're chopping wood until we define and refine you into the athlete that you're capable of being. So weak point training, which sets up my last one pretty well. And that is an incorrect volume of ancillary exercises. What I mean by that is you should have heard of by now, like a lot of compound movements as an example. Your compound movements are usually done with a barbell. It's something where you're working a multitude of muscle groups, bench press, squat, deadlift, hang clean as an example, overhead press. This is where this is the meat and potatoes of all your workouts. However, not identifying any ancillary exercises, meaning you're working smaller muscles, biceps, triceps, calves, core work, those muscles do need some degree of isolation. It needs to be properly formatted, but you can't completely never do anything that strengthens your biceps intentionally. Because have you ever done a weighted pull-up, which has a lot of benefits? Guess what one of the reasons why people struggle or reach a point of kind of capping out pretty early with that? It's weak arms and weak grip strength. It's not because their back is weak. It's because their arms and grip strength are weak. Or even maybe a deadlift. Like a lot of times your deadlift, your legs and back muscles have more reps in them, but your grips and forearms don't. Or what about on your bench press? When you get stuck right here, because your chest could push it up about this far, but your triceps weren't strong enough to follow through the range of motion and get you that extra rep. So you still need to do beach muscles. You just don't need to have a full arm workout day. You still need to incorporate in a proper manner biceps, triceps, obviously core work, but even specifically portions of your core, calves. You still need to incorporate that in a proper structured way. So don't ever completely neglect that. I wouldn't quite call that weak point training by any means. Weak point training had a different definition. Hopefully you picked up on that. But ancillary exercises in smaller muscle groups still have their isolated purpose for training. It just needs to be properly done. I'm not going to go through all that again because I don't even know how many to count from or what order I really went in. But of this list, I definitively know that this will dramatically, I'm using big words here, dramatically improve what you're capable of as an athlete. And if you were to truly master everything I just said, there's no doubt you will be significantly closer to whatever you're capable of as an athlete. And I can assure you, whatever type of athlete you currently stand, even if you're a great athlete today, everybody watching this has another gear. So everything that we want to do is always about getting to that next gear or getting closer to that next gear. That's the goal, is constant progress, every edge moving forward. I hope and know this video will serve you well. I hope you apply it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Like and subscribe if you already haven't. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you soon.